Hey, aloha, Love Tribe. What's up? It's DJ Val with the brand new Bitcoin for Peace podcast and show. I'm going to be talking to all the different people on planet Earth who are on a mission, like myself, to make a more peaceful, fair, just, and prosperous world for everybody, including the children, including nature, including the humans that haven't been born yet, and including, of course, all of us humans who are here today. I used to think that this is just going to be a catch up video and just kind of share what's been going on recently. And I want to, start thinking about how we're going to use this show to really educate people who don't understand Bitcoin about why Bitcoin is a tool for peace. And even I think a lot of Bitcoiners aren't really understanding the importance of this tool for creating a more peaceful world. I'm on a mission to create a more peaceful planet for my children, for your children, for everyone's children, and for the child that lives within. And there is a child that lives within each one of us. And so this is something super important. We are in a state of extreme violence going on in Ukraine, in Israel, in Gaza, and it is in obviously many more places. It's unacceptable. And I refuse to live in a world filled with so much violence and hatred that is absolutely unnecessary. Okay. And I believe that we have the tools right now, here on Earth. We don't have to invent anything new to create a more peaceful planet. What we do need is to use these tools, and we need to use them wisely. And there's a bunch of them that live in the toolbox for peace, and Bitcoin is one of them. And I used to be so naive in a good way. It's fun to be naive, right? It's better to sometimes just go through life like childlike innocence, but at some point you have to grow up. I started growing up and realizing, even though I'm an entrepreneur, as a podcaster, as a DJ, a mom, everything, um, I used to really believe that if we just took some acid and played some music and did ecstasy and did sacred sexual practices and meditated and hung out in nature and did, deep flow state stuff, that we were going to be great and the world would change and peace would reign all over everywhere, right? Well, it turns out I was partially right and partially wrong, obviously. We look back at the 60s and the summer of love and the hippie generation, and they really had it going on, which I think is great. And let's come together, let's join, unite and thrive. However, they missed the key, one of the key ingredients and one of the key tools, which is, of course, sound money. And so what we're learning right now, and I'm on a mission to just be a student first and foremost and ask questions and hopefully direct us all in a place of learning and growth and humility and curiosity, because there is no one right answer to the solution that we're seeking. Is a more peaceful and prosperous planet for all. So this journey to me is something that is very humbling and very important. And I think being on this journey together is also super important. So the more people that we can bring forward and invite along the way, the better the results are going to be, because we each have something magical to contribute to this tapestry, to this masterpiece called life, right? And um, so Bitcoin is a tool for peace. I'm working on a book called Bitcoin for Peace, and it's going to be covering three main areas that I believe are important for peace. And one is people, of course, one is planet, and then prosperity. And what does prosperity look like for all of us? And so within those three categories, where I'm going to dissect, how Bitcoin addresses these things that are so important. And I wanted to get it down to three primary categories so that we can, keep it simple as possible for a very complex subject. Obviously, right now we're dealing with all of the pain and the violence and the suffering everywhere on planet Earth. Like I had mentioned, obviously what's going on in Israel and Gaza and in Palestine, and what's going on in Ukraine, and what's going on everywhere. Um, People are suffering at a greater rate, but I believe we have hope, and not hope in a bucket that just sits over here. It's hope in action. And Bitcoin to me is hope in action. And that's what's really exciting. And it's measurable and it's tangible. Argentina just elected a new president, Javier Milei, and he's Bitcoin friendly. He wants to abolish the central banks. Yes, that would be exciting. So who knows how this is going to turn out down there? Obviously, President Bukele did something similar in El Salvador, and it's a big experiment, and it's a fast experiment that he did. And I'm super excited and interested. It's not perfect. I was just down there a couple weeks ago for adopting Bitcoin. I love you guys so much. El Salvador, I feel like I'm in a bathtub of hope down there. Everybody I met, including the Uber drivers, there was a couple Uber drivers that I was trying to tip Bitcoin to, and they were just like, no, we don't trust it. It's from the government. And so I was like, yeah, tell me some more. I want to learn, why you have objections. And of course, most of the people that I met were excited because they had an opportunity to transact with each other. They had an opportunity to save. Most people on planet Earth do not have a bank account. Most people on planet Earth do not have the ability to save their earnings. If they do, it's in the form typically of fiat currency, which we're seeing constantly debased, and the purchasing power is getting ripped away and stolen from people every single day because the central banks and the Fed keep printing, quote unquote, more and more, which is essentially theft. From if you have a dollar bill or $100 in your bank account a year ago, what you could buy today is much less. And so that's theft. And I don't know about you, but if somebody came to my house and went into my mattress and stole some money from under there, I would be very upset and I would not want them to be stealing my money. However, this is what the Fed keeps doing every single day. So this is something that I started learning, and I remember it was vivid. It's during COVID when I heard about the 40% print. And I was like, what do you mean they print 40% of the money supply in the last 18 months? That sounds fucked up. And so I did my homework, and I'm still doing it as we speak. And this is why I dove so deep into Bitcoin, because I wanted to find a tool that was going to be useful for um, my children and myself to not be stolen from. And that was really apparent to me when I heard this 40% money print. So I dove deep down the rabbit hole, and I started, understanding Bitcoin and crypto. And then I really started to understand the difference between the two, and understanding that, several years, 5, 6 years ago, my girlfriend took me to a blockchain conference, and I was like, Steve Wozniak was there and all these folks were speaking. And I'm like, dude, this is bullshit, right? It's just like you just print money and you're going to go print the Val token and everyone's going to get so excited. No, that's not happening. So I was really turned off by the whole crypto thing, and I unfortunately lumped Bitcoin in with it. So had I known Bitcoin's totally different than all the other shit coins out there, I would have had a lot more. I would have bought some Bitcoin back then. So that would have been cool. But I don't have that. But anyways, you live, you learn, you get it at the price you're supposed to get it at. And so, but when I really started understanding Bitcoin was when I started listening to Alex Gladstein on Peter McCormick's podcast, and listening to him talking about, people escaping authoritarian regimes with, their seed phrase sewn into their shirt. Even though the rest of their possessions got stolen, they had their seed phrase, and they can start a new life out of authoritarianism and have a currency, the sound that was desired. If they were to take their currency, it was Roya Maboob, he was talking about, and some other folks that were escaping. And I'm like, wow. So people don't want the currency that they would be sticking in their pockets, but they do want Bitcoin. And it's transferable anywhere within seconds all over the world now, thanks to the Lightning Network, or thanks to Lightning, Lightning layer. And so that was super cool to me. And I was just like, huh, this is neat. Screw all the other crypto stuff. I want to learn about Bitcoin. And so really thinking in terms of, wow, people are oppressed because of the way the money is and what kind of money we use. And not just that money is evil, because money is not evil. It's a store, it's a way for us to measure the time that we've spent in life doing something, right? We've earned a living doing something. We've created something of value. And so um, it really is very important. And so I really started learning a lot as much as I could. I just dove straight into Bitcoin. And I've always been on a mission for peace. I've always been on a mission for how do I become the best version of myself, and how do I help other folks become the best versions of themselves, and just be be hopefully a light of inspiration for others, and hopefully learn things along the way from all the folks that I get to meet and study. Student always first and foremost, right? So Bitcoin to me is this never ending rabbit hole that I keep meeting the coolest, kindest, and smartest people on planet Earth who are solving the world's toughest problems. And it's so important. And so, what I started also learning was people who are sending remittances home, for example, right? If you're sending a remittance back to your mom or your grandma in El Salvador, she would have to leave into a gang infested street and be very scared and have to go to MoneyGram or what is it, Western Union, and go get $100. But she didn't get the $100. She probably got $90 because of all the middleman fees. And so now, because grandma has a phone, and most people do, we could send her that $100 in Bitcoin over the Lightning Network with pennies for the fees, and she wouldn't have to leave. And so the time that humans can save without a middleman to be able to transfer their wealth, their value, their hard earned, uh, life skills to each other is so important. And to not have somebody be able to go, nope, we don't approve your transaction because we don't like you, or we don't know where that money came from, or we don't think it should go to this country, it should stay here. So Bitcoin is starting to create an opportunity for people to communicate with each other, because money truly is just communication. It's a ledger. And so that's something, Safety Most wrote, the Bitcoin standard and the fiat standard, which I highly recommend you read, um, talking about what is money. And after I read that, recognized, wow, I didn't learn shit in school. And even as an entrepreneur and starting several companies, I didn't know what money was. I didn't know what sound money was. And I didn't realize why it's so important to have sound money that's not associated and connected to the state or to any central authority, and why having money connected to a central authority, aka the central banks and the Fed and the governments, et cetera, they have the ability to shut you down. And so what also got my feathers ruffled was the trucker protests. And so the trucker protests up in Canada were going on during COVID, and people started saying, hey, we want to donate to these guys because they don't want to take the shots, just so that they can deliver their goods. So they're protesting, and people are making donations. Their donation things are getting shut down, and people's bank accounts started getting frozen in Canada. And I was like, what do you mean in Canada? How can they freeze your bank account if you make a donation to a trucker? And they're like, yeah, they are starting to freeze people's bank accounts who were donating, not even the actual protesters, but if you're donating, they were freezing your stuff. So guess what? That milk you wanted to get for your baby, you can't have it because your bank account's frozen. And I was just like, what? So the whole lockdown shenanigan and uh, freezing these bank accounts just really got me like, no, thank you. Like, I don't want to be a part of this system anymore. And so I want to slowly keep learning, like, how can I be the most freest version of myself using the freest form of money? And so that's why this mission is so important to me. And my kids still don't understand it. They're teenagers, they're starting to think mommy is a little less crazy, but that's okay. That's their job, is to think their mom's crazy. But um we need to leave this world in a less authoritarian state than we found it. And it keeps getting worse and worse and worse through our communication crackdowns, through the money exchange crackdowns. And so these central authorities want to keep taking away your freedom. When you do not have freedom, you do not have inner peace. And when you do not have inner peace, you start to get violent and antsy. And so that's the key. Okay. So we can go meditate all day long. I do it. I love it. Let's go. We should dance. We should make love. Oh, look, a thumbs up. I don't know how these things work. But um, that's the gem, right? And so if you do not have the ability to save, if you are constantly getting stolen from and lied to, you are not going to have inner peace, and you are going to rebel at some point, because the human spirit does not want to be locked down in any way, shape, or form. And so this is why I get up every day and I want to learn and I consume. People are like, "You're on Twitter too much." And I'm like, unfortunately, it's X now, obviously, and I go on Nostr a lot. You guys should go check out Nostr. Hold on. I have a banner template. Go follow me on Nostr. There you go. Show. Check it out. Yay, Nostr. Um, so this is an open source protocol, just like Bitcoin is an open source protocol to transfer information. That's all it does, is information transfer. Um, and so, where was I? So getting up every day, right? I don't trust social media. I don't trust the governments. I don't trust mainstream media. That's for sure. Um, and so, who can you trust with information out there? So I'm learning about new communities and new people out here who are on the same mission for freedom, for liberation, for peace, for fairness, for all. And this is the community that I want to share with everybody in the world, so that we can all become part of that community together. Because I don't know any human on planet Earth that I've met so far that says, please lock me down. I want to be controlled and manipulated. Even though we see that that is a result of what's going on with all the lies and the manipulation that's going on out there with the media, people don't know that they are on strings. And when you tell them that they're on strings, they tell you, go fuck yourself. And so that's not what most people want to hear, but they feel it. There's an itch that lives inside, and they know something's wrong. Something doesn't feel right. I'm a little bit like, I'm going through life, feeling a little crusty and strange. And okay, I guess everyone else is doing the same thing. This is how it's supposed to go. No, it's not. Your soul knows the truth. And when you start listening to that, that's when you get truth and clear guidance on what's going on. And so, for those of us who are lucky enough to have fallen down the rabbit hole so far, yay for us, and yay for everybody who keeps sharing the good news, as it were, of Bitcoin to the world. And again, we're all students. This is all brand new. It's only, it's less than 2 decades old, right? It's a new way of considering how we can operate as a healthy and functioning society. And so I'm really grateful and excited to do this podcast and start it again. I have dozens of people on the docket that I'm going to get to interview and share their wisdom and messages and tools with you. And we're going to talk about all the different things that Bitcoin can do. Bitcoin is helping with methane emissions. Methane is one of the worst substances on planet Earth, and it's causing warming, and it's also polluting, obviously. And so Bitcoin miners are out there capturing stranded methane and turning it into energy and turning it into hash rate. So that's amazing. So all sorts of cool things that we're going to get to share and talk about with you. And I would love to hear from you guys if you have any suggestions for shows, or who you want me to interview and bring on, or where I should be going. Like I said, I just got back from El Salvador at Adopting Bitcoin. It was so amazing. I'm so grateful. So I'm going to do a whole El Salvador recap show. And then I'm also, what do we have got going on? We've got Bitcoin Jungle in Costa Rica in January, and Bitcoin Atlantis in Madeira in Portugal that I'm going to get to go to and DJ. So I'll be DJing at both of those, hopefully speaking at both of those as well. Definitely speaking at Bitcoin Jungle. And we're going to be doing a women's event also in at Atlantis. So that's going to be exciting. So that's it. I just wanted to give you guys a little heads up and say, hey, I haven't fallen off the planet. I have just been retooling a little bit, and I'm going to start also going over all the different tools and things that I use in my life, whether it's Bitcoin related things or tech stuff or health and wellness things. So I want to start sharing a little bit more, and I want to hear from you too. So anyways, peace, love, and warm aloha, you guys. And please go follow me on Nostr. You can go to primal.net. There's a lot of places you can go check out Nostr things, and just look up DJ Valerie Be Love. Obviously, you can go to Twitter, or I guess it's X now. And just go to DJ Valerie Be Love. And then I'd love if you guys go to, where are we at? Go to the show notes for djvaleriebelove.com. And dun, 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 there you go. And you can go to fountain.fm and follow the podcast. So that's it for now. And I really, really hope you guys have the best day of your life, because you don't know if it's the last one. I have 3 very close people to me right now who are battling cancer. And they didn't know they were going to have this battle on their dance card, and yet here they are. And they're strong and they're brave and they're kicking so much ass. And I'm so proud of you guys, and I love you. And I hope that you understand how much you're loved and needed. And that goes for each one of you. And so don't take today for granted. Go tell the people that you love them. Go love yourself. Go breathe some air and go tell Mother Nature how much you love her, and have the best day of your life, because it's the only one you have. All right. Peace, love, and warm aloha. All right, guys. I'll check you soon. Thanks. And thanks again for tuning in. Share this with your friends if you think they would like this. They would.